Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. And we are back after 1 week off from discussing movies. No, well, we discussed 50 movies last week, I suppose, technically, but we didn't watch a movie and then sit down like a pair of intellectuals that we are and discuss it.
Sure.
What was that voice?
Oh, I don't know.
Right.
Right.
The fake Australian accent maybe was Tim. I'm Peter, and we talk about horror movies. We had a week off because we did a lot of reviews for October, and now we're back into the middle of November, and we're ready to go. And we're catching up in some newer releases from this year that we didn't catch at the theaters. And the first one, I wanted to like rip the band-aid off and get this one done first. I wanted to get rid of it, out of the way, because I'm expecting it to be one of the worst. And that is Slender Man.
No, I forget. Was this the one that like earlier in the year people are saying like, "Oh, that's this year's Bye Bye Man," or was that Truth or Dare? I forget.
Oh, I can't remember. What I can tell you is in the summer, its date moved around a little bit because the studio who made it, because it's distributed by Sony, but it was a different studio who actually made the film. They
don't think for 1 second I didn't see that Sony logo and start putting together pitches for a Slender Man versus Spider-Man at some point.
They've probably considered it. They've been thinking about it. But so although they're not even doing Spider-Man versus Venom for some reason. I don't know what's going on with Sony, but so the studio were unhappy and didn't think that Sony were spending enough on advertising and weren't happy with the treatment they were given. They were putting out as this little shitty horror movie, and they thought their film was deserving of a bigger stage, that it was deserving lots of advertising money because it could be a huge hit, could be a huge horror hit. And because obviously in the last few years we've had things like A Quiet Place, It, a few different ones that have really hit and became financial megatons. And Sony responded to them trying to leave their contract by putting the film 3 weeks later on the same day as something else. And I can't remember what it was now, but it was like a big release. So they basically shit-canned the movie they were distributing, even though it would affect their bottom line, because the studio were trying to go elsewhere.
Oh, good for them.
Is this good for anyone? I don't think it is.
And then, I mean, that's probably not even the most controversial thing about this movie, because you have the whole real life incidents, with Slender Man and stuff.
Yeah, we can get into that a lot, but I'm not super knowledgeable on the incident. I know a couple of kids died, but I mean,
beyond that. I did watch a documentary about it. I don't remember too much about it though. Basically, it was three young girls. It was like two young girls. Like I think they were like 9 or 10 or 11ish, like around that age range.
Yeah, so pretty young then.
Yeah. And two of them like lured this other girl out, and they tried to kill her, and then they blamed it as they said they were doing it as a sacrifice to Slender Man. And if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but I do think the girl ended up surviving. But then the other two I think were like obviously they don't go to jail, but I think they were put in some type of like maybe mental institution for juvenile delinquents or something like that. But
something, yes.
Yeah. And I could be wrong. I think like I don't know if the girls themselves have said this, but I have heard some people say that they don't think necessarily that they actually believed in Slender Man. There's more of an excuse that they were just, for whatever reason, wanted to harm this girl, and that was kind of a convenient scapegoat. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but other I mean, either way you look at it though, that is like kind of a huge blemish for like releasing a obviously this wasn't huge, but like a big theatrical movie about this creature that is kind of part of this like really weird real life incident. And I do believe the city it took place in, I think they wouldn't even show the movie there.
Yeah, because the local community is probably scarred by it and doesn't want to have anything to do with it. Yeah, no, it's weird, especially so soon, because Slender Man's a relatively new invention. Um, and it's something I'd heard about at some point. You can't look around if you can't turn around. If you play the game, and you turn around, they'll see you, and that's it. You're doomed.
Yeah.
But
I will say that I know. I pretty much don't know anything about Slender Man. Like you said, like I know he exists. I kind of know, like the basic look of him, but I really don't know anything about his origin or his mythology or whatever the rules surrounding him are. And
me neither,
I
really.
did,
Like I only really I think I know about him mostly because it was a video game. Like I think that's what I really know him from, and I'd seen a couple of clips of that.
Now I did think like I didn't have high hopes for the movie going in, but I was maybe not excited, but like somewhat interested because I did think like, all right, Slender Man is this big thing in the online community, so I am a little interested to kind of learn more about him. And spoiler alert, though, after watching the movie, I still know nothing about him.
That is accurate. That is true. I think for me, like I honestly think that Slender Man's a bad idea to make a movie about necessarily.
Sure.
I think from a filmmaking perspective, if you that simple rule, you can't turn around, right? But he's there. That is something you can build suspense out of. That is something you can make that a crucial mechanic in your horror storytelling. And instead, it's like just like we see a lot of them as well for a start, but on top of that, it's just a sort of general excuse for creepy supernatural shit to happen.
The joke that I kept making when we were watching it is, because there's like a lot of jump scares and stuff, and so I kept joking whenever it wasn't Slender Man, I'd just be like, "Oh no, it's just a slender coat rack," or "Oh, it's just a slender tree." Oh, like it's just.
I almost think an effective way to do a Slender Man movie is to only show him once at the end, when the main character finally sees them and presumably dies, right? Like that's what you do. That
seems about the way to do it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't say this often, but I could see Slender Man as being a found footage movie. I think maybe, because like again, it's something that you could play with because that could help as to why you're not seeing them that much, and maybe kind of since it is like a newer kind of internet based thing. I don't know. I feel like maybe that's something that could fit in that genre.
The idea you're not seeing them means it's up to your imagination, and it's the creepiness, it's the sounds, it's the atmosphere. And that can be very effective. So imagine my dismay when I'm watching this movie and there's like CGI like tentacle arm things coming from them and all sorts of weird shit, and I'm like, I'm just bored. I'm just miffed at why you're making these weird decisions. This was never going to look good. It was never going to feel creepy. It was just always going to look like shit. Like what are you doing? What are you doing, filmmakers? I suppose we should ask the question, Timmy, if it wasn't obvious. Did you enjoy Slender Man?
Not at all. This is really, really bad. In fact, I would say probably one of the worst movies we've done in a while. And I mean like bad from a filmmaking perspective. Like,
sure, yeah.
Like it's not like it wasn't my cup of tea, but there was a few good points. It's like, again, wow, this is surprising that it got made and was released in theaters. The CGI is horrible. It's like some of the worst I've seen in a really long time. The joke that my wife made while we were watching it, she said, like you were saying when you first see Slender Man with the tentacles and stuff, she was like, "Oh, so is he just like a guy with an octopus behind him?" Like, because like that's like exactly what it looked like.
I feel bad, Tim, because I make you watch a lot of shit, and now I feel like your wife's going to have to suffer through almost every one of them.
I will say though, like she was actually kind of excited to watch it, so it wasn't it wasn't a chore or anything. Like
that's good.
And honestly, I will like. I don't know if this is maybe giving it a little too much credit, but there were a few times where I like very, very loudly was laughing. Like there's like some, and obviously not intentional on the movie's part, but there was some parts where it was so bad that I like just burst out like laughing. And
it's funny, Timmy, because I'm going to somewhat disagree here. and this may oddly sound like a compliment to the film, and it's not.
Interesting. Okay. Where's this going?
But I don't actually think it's like in the bottom tier of things we have watched, right? I think it's a really, really bad movie, but I think the worst thing about it is it's not even interesting bad. It's not even funny bad. I think this is so forgettable that I can never hate this as much as Bye Bye Man. Bye Bye Man was so terrible that it was making me angry scene to scene. This wasn't making me angry. This was just putting me into a coma. Like I was just in a daze of like not caring about anything.
I don't know. In a way, though, isn't that worse? Like,
I mean, that's like an intense political debate waiting to happen to me. I don't...
Well, because at least though with like, yeah, if you're using like Bye Bye Man as a barometer, like, yeah, that is probably really low tier. Definitely one of the worst things we've done. But
I guess what I'm saying is that feeling anger is better than feeling nothing.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So that's,
I would agree.
saying.
I would agree with that. Yeah. And like, I wouldn't categorize this as a movie that is so bad that it's good. Like, you have to watch it. But I just think there was like at least 2, maybe 3 times where I was like laughing like pretty hard. But and again, though, not intentionally. And like,
I think the sad part is it gets worse as it goes on, because the start of it's not actually that bad necessarily. You know, when you first meet the girls and they're kind of, you know, they're just like goofing around at high school and stuff, it's not particularly good, but it's not, they're not like annoying enough where it's like some other movies where I just instantly hate all the characters. They're just kind of bland, right? They're just, you know, they're not the worst thing ever. And then the stuff starts happening, and it just kind of feels lackluster, like nothing really feels, you know, has any weight to it. And then once you start seeing CGI tentacles and shit, and you get to more of the horror stuff, it starts really going downhill, and it's like, okay, right, now we're in complete shite territory. But
yeah, it's I mean, I think the name of the game here is you know, it's generic. Like, you know, this felt like every movie, you know, like this that you like watch where, you know, like it reminds me of something like, you know, Ouija or something where, you know, it starts off where you have these characters that are very bland, like they're not like super unlikable, but they're also not super like, you know, interesting or unique. They're just kind of there, and then, you know, something happens or they mess with something, and then I feel like it's a common thing to have like one friend, you know, go missing right away, and then the other friends are kind of off on this journey. But then, you know, you get all the tropes. You know, you get the internet search, you know, you get the
what's worse about this one, it starts with an internet search, because in this movie Slender Man is kind of just like how he is in real life, in the sense that they just find him on the internet and there's a video you're not supposed to watch, and then it just becomes real. But it starts off with them just looking him up on the internet. That's what it is.
Yeah, and I don't know. I was thinking about this too. Like, again, I don't know if this is because I'm an old man now. I don't know if this is something that kids like, but the internet is just like not scary to me. Like, there's a real world like social scariness, I think, to it. But like in terms of horror, I don't think it's like that scary.
I think this proves that you're not an old man, because I feel like actual old people are scared of the internet, Tim.
I guess so. Like, yeah. Like, I don't know if young kids find the, you know, the flashing screen that starts like, you know, getting all pixelated, and then you know, there's a whatever you call, like a static screech, and then a bunch of weird images start popping up. Like,
so that is such a trope now, isn't it? That moment, that glitchy computer screen, it's such a trope now in these shitty horror movies.
I just feel like we've seen it so many times. Like, that's like the only way people know how to like convey, like, oh, something messed up is going on. Like, why can't you just have it in the atmosphere? Like, stuff start going on in the house or whatever. Instead, it always has to be like, I don't know if that's the scariest thing for kids, like the internet.
You can do it with the internet. I mean, you could like just have it be a chat room conversation. Like, you know, imagine the opening of Stream, but instead of a phone call, it's just text messages. But you have to wait between each one, and each one's kind of more creepy. But again, it's in the dialogue in the text messages. It's not because, hey, look at computers are acting funny. Like, you know, it's just it's frustrating.
It's not. Yeah, it's generic. It's not interesting. It's like you said, it's a trope now, and I just
actually, Tim, here's another one that this movie's not guilty of just because Slender Man has no face. But I was thinking this when I was watching Haunting of Hill House, which is a pretty good show, but it is guilty of one thing that bugs me.
Okay.
And directors really need to learn this. Characters who open their mouths wide aren't scary.
Oh sure, yeah.
Yeah. Like that thing where the jaw really opens up. Like that is not. It's not scary. It's not even creepy. It's not even. It just looks stupid.
Yeah, I'm kind of sick. I'm done with that as well. Yeah, and at the very least, it's just like I feel like it's never really looked that great with CGI, which of course it's always CGI. So yeah, it's that doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. So casting wise, I'd say the second main girl, not the first one. Although the Joey King, who I'm going to talk about here, is actually credited first because I guess she's the biggest star of the bunch.
Well, I didn't recognize any of these people, but Melissa recognized a lot of them.
Yeah, I recognize a couple. Joey King here, she was one of the sisters in the first Conjuring. Okay. And then went on to be in the modern classic that was Wish Upon.
Oh, jeez.
She was the lead in that.
I didn't even recognize her, but that makes sense. Yeah.
Chloe is Jazz Sinclair. She's actually currently on Sabrina. She plays Roz. So,
she has the cunning.
She has the cunning, yes. That's all I noticed though.
The one of the other girls, again, I didn't pick up on this, but Melissa said was one of the sisters from the second Ouija, whatever you say.
I mean the older one.
Yeah.
Because it's not the younger. Because the younger one's the one that's in Hill House.
Yeah.
Who's in
right.
Not Annabelle too. Yeah. I did not notice that. Which one? There's only two left really, because there's four total.
Yeah. I don't know the names, but
it's not this one. Was it the ginger? I don't think it was a ginger, but who am I to say? Oh, it was a ginger. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. See, I couldn't even like.
I haven't recognized her, admittedly. Yeah.
I don't think she was ginger in that movie, though, was she?
No, she wasn't. No, that's
Hollywood magic.
Hollywood magic, indeed. Also, her dad in this movie was on Person of Interest, but I mean,
okay.
if that matters to anyone.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and they do have. I don't know if this is a maybe technically a trope, but the beleaguered parent that just wants their daughter back and is like blaming the other girls and stuff.
I think it would have been a trope if it had went anywhere, but it just kind of disappeared after like one scene of him being angry about her not being around.
Yeah,
it just kind of got dropped and never came back again.
And you know what made me all right? So let's just say, obviously, cards on the table here. Neither of us like this movie. It's pretty bad. Maybe you liked it a little more than me. I don't know.
No, but I didn't like it more than you. It's just so generic and bland. I can't be as funnily angry about it as I am with like other movies. But yeah.
Can we? So is there if we go into spoilers then? I don't know if we have. Much else to say, but
Tim wants spoilers. All right, we can do spoilers. Full spoilers.
I just want to talk about just like some specific scenes. Like again, one of the scenes that really made me laugh is like, they're doing all this research on Slender Man on the internet, and they are like looking up like forum posts and people that have like pictures of Slender Man, and I wonder if they use like actual like internet pictures of him, because those looked like the kind of pictures people would show, but it's just so funny. Like they're looking at a picture and someone goes like, "See, look, there he is. He's real." And I was like, "That's like the fakest looking picture ever." Like it's so obviously cropped. It's like I don't know. One of the like funner things like me and my friends like to do if like it's getting late and we're hanging out is we like to look up like quote unquote real like videos of stuff like I don't know if you ever looked up like real gnomes videos. That's like
Tim, I can assure you I have never in my life looked up real gnomes.
It's so funny, like people like post these like videos of like like people that would post like, oh, I caught a video of Bigfoot. Like people will do that for almost anything. Like you can look up like real mermaid caught on camera, and like I don't know, we just look up like fake stuff like that all the time, and it's so cheesy but funny. And then that's what this reminded me of. And just the fact that one of the girls is instantly like, it's him, he's real. It's like, no, this is so bad.
I love the look up the Slender Man stuff at the start, because they're hanging around with a laptop and they do it right after they were watching porn together.
Oh yeah,
that is literally what they were doing before. And I'm like, yeah, that sums up the internet: porn and then Slender Man. I mean,
yeah,
well, sure.
And it was like so stupid that it was just like, oh, like what do you think the boys are doing tonight? Like I heard they're gonna summon Slender Man. Okay, let's do it too. Like it's such a stupid reasoning.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. It was like they were written at this weird age, where they've got them, looking up porn, and they've got them like being fairly mature in other ways. Like I feel like they're all actually relatively nice to each other, and they're relatively nice to their parents. Because to the point where the main girl, Hallie, is cracking jokes about getting pregnant and getting drunk with her parents, and they're kind of just rolling with it because she's at that age where she's mature enough that they can have that joke. But at the same time, whenever it comes to talking about boys and talking about the other group of guys, it's like they all turn to 11-year-olds with like, oh, what the boys doing tonight? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. And if you thought that the boys would like be actual characters, oh, you're wrong about that.
No. Like it's actually really weird how little they play into anything.
Yeah, like you get the one main guy a little bit, which is actually the other scene that this probably made me laugh the hardest during the movie. Like they had the scene where they're making out, and then like all of a sudden like the boyfriend starts going crazy, and his like face is like doing that really fast like shaking around and stuff, and then it's like it doesn't really sound funny to just describe it, but when you watch it, it looked so bad and fake and cheesy that like it was killing me, like how stupid it was. But
hey, he's not making fun of your cum face, so don't make fun of his.
Yeah.
Maybe some people just erratically move their head side to side when they're finishing off, Tim. That's a thing.
That's fair. Yeah, they're doing the saw, I guess. But oh my god, it was so stupid. But then like, yeah, he has that little scene, and then like it seems like he starts acting weird the next day, but then like the movie totally forgets about him. Like I didn't understand. All right, is he also infected?
Because she makes him promise not to look up Slender Man. She makes him promise not to, because it turns out the boys didn't look him up. They chickened out, and then once everything starts happening to them, she makes him promise never to look at it, and he does. And then he comes out of school, and it looks like he's got like a bruise on his hand, like as if like a big slender hand has like grabbed his arm. And she's she's like doesn't say anything to him, but it's like this tense little moment in the class, and then you never see him again. And I'm like, what was that setting up?
Yeah.
What was the point of this?
It's very weird, and also it's like all of these, I don't know, like internet monsters or something. Like it seems like they always kind of have like the same MO. Like it's like a virus, it wants to spread, like it can't stop spreading, and it's just like, shut up, like give me a break.
What they have to do is cross over the Truth or Dare universe and get the Truth or Dare demon to get the Slender Man into the Truth or Dare game. Pit them together.
Do that, couple that up with spoiler alert, the end of Rings, and you could have like a whole big crazy internet world.
In fact, I mean, remember the plot of Sadako versus Kayako was which is the Ring versus the Grudge characters, the Japanese movie, for those who have no idea what I just said. The premise of that was pretty simple. It was like basically someone had watched the tape and then was in the Grudge house, and then the ghosts had to fight over who got to take them. Like, no, she's mine now. She's in the house. No, she's mine. She watched the tape. And then the long hair battle starts, and that was kind of the idea. That's how you defeat Slender Man. You get claimed. You get claimed by Freddy Krueger or someone else, and you make them fight it out, and hopefully it ends in a stalemate, and therefore you get to walk away scot free.
I'd be down for that. I mean,
that's the plan.
Yeah, not to again, not to sound like old man here, but I feel like our monsters, like our Freddy's and Jasons and stuff, they, these Slender Mans or Truth or Dares or whatever that monster was called, they couldn't hold a candle to these guys.
Just make good movies. The character will build and be better, because the movie's better. That's just it's kind of that simple. Partly because I don't think Slender Man can't be a great design. I don't think it's that it can't be creepy. It's just,
oh no, yeah, it's like about the it's about the atmosphere. You need to give us a reason to relate to or care about the characters. Like again, like I never like. It's not that the characters are really. It's not like they're unlikable. It's just, but I don't get any sense of who they are, so I don't really care about them. I think you said at the top, they're just very bland. Like I don't care.
I mean, they kind of become unlikable near the end when they start freaking out more often because they're going crazy. But I mean, that's just the plot rather than the characters.
Yeah.
But the forest, there's so many shots of them looking into the forest, and so many like him just popping into frame, in a close-up for a jump scare. Like, we're looking, oh, Slender Man's here.
Yeah. Also, like, it seemed like there was a lot of really unnecessary, like I guess you just say, like, I don't know, camera tricks or whatever, or shots, like like there'd be stuff where they would wake up in bed but the camera would be upside down, and then like it would kind of like turn around as they wake up, and it, like, I mean, I guess good on the directors for maybe wanting to add style or something, but it was just always like in really like unnecessary parts. I just felt like, why are they doing this?
I don't have an answer for you, Timmy. It's not the top of my complaint list, but I can see.
Oh sure, I mean, yeah, it's just there's a lot of little stuff like that. I also thought the movie was like too dark. Like, there's
even scenes in broad daylight felt kind of dark. It wasn't Alien versus Predator Requiem bad. Like, if you watch that movie, it's insane how bad those daytime shots in that movie look so dark. It is ridiculous. This has kind of got a dull effect on it, which. It's not too bad, but it's like, it was noticeable. I agree. So my big thing is that so they watched the video, and then what my first big problem with the movie, like my first really big problem, was the ginger girl Katie disappears first, right? And the way she disappears is so weird, like so weird. She's they're at like a school field trip or something like that, at a cemetery. Or so, I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention to why they were there, but the whole class was there. And at one point, they're just walking along, and she like gets distracted by the woods, and she's looking out as if she's in a trance, right? And then it just cuts to the others, and it's some time has apparently passed, and they're like, "Oh, Katie's not answering her phone. Where is she? She's keeping us all here because we'll have to, we have to wait for all the kids to come back before we can leave." And then like a minute, seconds later, there's a police car, and like, "Oh, this girl's went missing. Where is she?" And I'm like. There wasn't even like the moment itself when she was staring into the woods. It felt like one of those moments where, she's going to just keep walking and we'll find, more will happen later or whatever. But it just cuts to this other scene of like them wondering where she is, and I'm like, there was nothing there that really happened for us, the audience. There was no like, like even something as simple as an audio cue that kind of like makes it sound like something happened, but it just like I was like, wait, she disappeared? That was it? That was her gone? That's how Slender Man takes his victims? They just
and I think this is like a big sign of a bad movie when I can't really accurately describe what it is the monster does or what they want or how the victims react to it, because like you said, you have that first girl, Katie, who, is seemingly pretty normal and then just like disappears. But then you got other people like Chloe, where it seems like it infects her, like, to this weird point where, she doesn't disappear, but she sticks around, but she's like really sickly looking and stuff. And then I forget if anything even happens to her, or, we just kind of end with like that one shot where they see her and she's just like looking all like ragged and stuff.
Yeah, she's kept inside the house, and she's like kind of crazy because she's seeing Slender Man things and
so like yeah, so it just Slender Man just seems like very like inconsistent. Like, does he want to drive you mad? Does he just want you to join him? And then when you
Well,
join him, what does he want? Like,
well, that's the thing though. They try and explain this away, but just saying, "Oh, it's different for everyone." Some people get taken, some people go crazy, some people do this, some people do that. It's different for everyone.
why?
But something
That's
always
like
happens.
Such a stupid. Like, is that just like a, I don't know, just like convenient excuse to be like, hey, we want to do different stuff?
Well, given the ending, the implication in this is that he wants some people to willingly give themselves up, because the whole thing is that he's kind of like attacking Hallie's little sister. So the movie actually ends with her willingly getting into the forest and being consumed by Slender Man, which, in terms of a really bad visual effect, is her being kind of absorbed by a tree, and then she's in a tree. And that's the cut to the end, basically.
So real quick, what bothered me about this scene is, yeah, like you said, she gets kind of like, she toughens up, like, all right, I gotta end this. I'm gonna go and give myself over to him. So then she goes, and like you said, she's in the forest, and there's like the slender tree or whatever, and she's kind of like, like, that's it, like, you want me, come and get me, you can have me. But then once like Slender Man's like, okay, then like she screams and starts running away. Like, it's like, all right, well, either are you going to sacrifice yourself or not? Like, even the ending couldn't decide what they wanted her to do.
Yeah, and right before this, because there's like a little twist where Ren, Joey King's character, because they've kind of grown apart because she's getting kind of crazy, and because Hallie doesn't believe it's all real for a long time, and Ren does. Ren's like, no, this is all real. Look, I've been researching. I've got drawings and stuff up on the wall. But we get the little twist that Hallie's little sister has been getting involved in it, and it seems like Ren's been kind of assisting her getting involved. And she confronts her about it, and Ren gets taken by Slender Man in this scene in her house when the giant CG tentacles come in and grab him, and grab her through the window and pull her out through the window, and it's just this like big. This was the moment where I was like, okay, up until now you were at this number. I don't want to spoil it because obviously we'll rate this at the end. But you just went down like 2 whole points from there. Like that moment put you down 2 points because it was just stupid, and it just like, okay, now we've got CG tentacles grabbing people. It means nothing. It's just absolute garbage.
Yeah, no, it's really awful. And the scenes where they get like video calls from Slender Man, I guess.
I've forgotten about this. Yeah. This is the first time it happens. It's with Chloe's character. She gets like footage on her phone been sent to her, and it's like she recognizes it's her stairs. Someone's walking up her stairs inside her house, coming towards her door. The
scene goes on so long, and it's not like, that could, I guess be a creepy idea, but like it's so slow. It's like, all right, like, we get it, you're in the house, you're coming up the stairs, like, you're all right, like, maybe move this up a little bit. And again, it was another thing where I'm just like, why is this person just watching this? Like, why are they not, hanging up, finding a place to hide, like grabbing a weapon? It's just like, well, this is very slow, and I'm gonna watch every second of it. And also, I kept wondering, like, where are there just like never any parents in this movie? Like, it seems like no one is ever around.
We see Hallie's parents at the start of the dinner table scene, and then pretty much never again until the final hospital scene when they're with her little sister.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much it. And then the drunk dad we see a couple of times, who breaks into their house in one random scene because he's like, "Is my daughter hiding here? Because she's missing. Is she hiding here?" And Hallie and her little sister run away, terrified of the drunk man. And then next time we see him, it's just they're breaking into his house because they're trying to see if the shoot because it turns out, because as much as you said saying that Katie was normal until she disappeared towards the start, we find out she had like a whole room full of research on the Slender Man.
That's true.
I don't know if that's implying she'd already watched the video before she showed it to them.
I guess maybe.
like is that the point here? Is that she was trying to like offer them to the Slender Man to save herself? Is that what it was trying to suggest? I don't think so.
Oh, maybe.
It's a bit of a heel turn if that's what if that's what she was doing.
Also, these friends are like so stupid. Like it seems like they're supposed to be like best friends and stuff, but they like so quickly like forget about each other. Like we mentioned earlier, Chloe's going through some shit. Like she's being driven crazy by like the Slender Man, and it seems like they don't even care. Like someone's like in class is like, hey, where's Chloe? And like, I think she's sick or something. Like, like if you're all having these weird experiences, like, if one of you is like sick for 1 or 2 days, don't you think like, oh, we should probably check up on him? But it just seems like everyone is like, hey, it's weird we haven't heard from her in a week. It's like, yeah, it's because you're all being tormented by this monster. Go check up on your freaking friend, for God's sake.
It's one of those things in shitty horror movies where characters just don't react in natural ways. They react in bizarre ways that make no human logic or sense. It's baffling. And the sad part is, it's like, I can kind of see how you turn, because I always say that some of the best horror movies are the ones that actually have something to say. They're about something beyond just a scary thing, right? Sure. And I'm like, all right, you want to make this a movie about friends, a friendship, and you want to make it about maybe like them doubting each other, and like maybe like the idea that one of them believes that the Slender Man's real and the others ignore her, and then when it turns out to be real, there's this guilt because you weren't there for her. You didn't just take her word for it.
Okay.
You can do some drama with that. You can say something about that. You can talk about just being there for people, whether it's real or not, right? You can say something, anything. This movie has nothing to say. It's just creepy Slender Man's walking up behind you with his tentacles. And then we get fake out scares where Hallie's walking through the hospital at one point, and there's like a doctor who happens to just be quite slender.
It's just a slender doctor.
It's just a slender doctor. You're fine. It's frustrating.
It's like weird stuff where like they pass by a room where like someone's just like combing someone's hair in the bathtub. But again, it's like, ooh, creepy.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like part of being affected by Slender Man means they just start seeing random shit occasionally, and it's just like, great. It's just an excuse for random supernatural stuff. It's the same reason why I hate shit like.
I think the first Ouija movie is what it reminded me a lot of.
Yeah, I can see that. I think even Truth or Dares get a bit of a comparison, just in the sense that they start seeing things that no one else is seeing, and there's weird things going on. Like, but it's just utter random crap.
And no one ever really seems like super concerned. Like, it's not like there's like, because again, you have characters like you have the parents, like they even show like a teacher at one point, and they have like the kind of boyfriend, but no one is ever like put in a situation where they're like, hey, what's going on? Is something wrong? Like, what's happening? Like, something's different about you. Like, I never get a sense that like, I don't know, that they're just in this like real world or anything.
Most definitely not. It's just, it's no doubt it'll end up in our worst 10 of the year. I have no doubts about it.
Of course.
But I don't think it'll be at the top necessarily. Unless there's not actually been anything as bad this year, because obviously some of the stuff we're comparing it to is from last year. So
I mean, I've been keeping a list of the new ones we've done, and
keeping a list and checking it twice.
Yep. I think we have done some other bad ones this year. I can't remember off the top of my head though, like what level of bad. I think
I'll be honest. I'm a little worried about the top 10 this year so far. I don't know if like. There's still a couple of months. We could still see some great stuff, but I'm a little bit worried about filling a top 10.
I think it's a little tougher this year than usual. I think a top 5 will be easy for sure. Mm-hmm. It'll probably be like a really good top 5, and then maybe like 5 to 10 are like good, but like the best the year had to offer.
Yeah.
And I know, and it sucks because I do think there was a couple I saw that I really liked, but I don't think we'll be able to get them because I don't think they're like widely available yet.
That's your stupid LA connections and, and limited screenings and whatnot. Yes, they won't be eligible for said reasons, but I'm sure we'll.
But the thing that sucks about that though is it's like. Yeah, we can't do it this year because we're not both able to see it, but then that also means we won't be able to put them on the list for next year because they didn't technically come out then, which is always a shame.
Yeah, no, it's some movies always fall under that category, and you just kind of have to deal with it, but,
well, when we do the best of the decade or whatever,
That's
get their
true.
due.
That's true. End of next year, we'll be we'll do top 10 of the year, and we'll be doing like the top. I don't know, 50 of the decade.
Oh, yeah.
Probably. Yeah, that was very lately. Anyway, I mean, anything else you want to say about Slender Man? I don't know if I have anything else. It's really generic in a painful way, and then gets worse as it starts adding this CG crap, and then bullshit jump scares. Like it's a concoction of everything that makes a horror movie bad, but without being the worst example of any of them.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a bad mix of everything. I think maybe the one thing that we don't really get that's kind of indicative of other bad movies is like I guess the acting wasn't that bad. Like again, I don't really care about the characters, but the like the actors were doing a fine job with what they were given with. So I can't complain about that. But I mean, yeah, everything else, it's the story is kind of bullshit. It's not really that intriguing, and there's definitely kind of like maybe not necessarily plot holes, but just stuff that isn't really explained or made that clear. And then the scares aren't effective. The CGI is really bad. Everything is forgettable about it. Like
direction.
I was gonna I was gonna try to comment on the music, but honestly, I don't even remember enough to say if it was bad or not. Obviously, it wasn't good because it's usually you would remember if it stood out as being good, but
I don't remember it either. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it was painfully generic, like a lot of the rest of it.
Yeah. No, that has to be it.
Yeah. No, it's pretty shitty. And hey ho, hopefully next week's New Year release is good. I hope it is. So that is the Screams After Midnight. We should rate Slender Man out of 10. Will it be a slender number?
I think I'm gonna give it a 2.5, and I think it's terribly generic, but I think some of the stuff was just like specifically bad, so I really can't rate it that high. And then I'm gonna give it like a little bit of a bump with the 0.5 though, just because there was like the few scenes that made me laugh, so at least I got some joy from that. But otherwise though, super forgettable and really not a fun watch.
Yeah, this is tough. Typically when it's something like this, I kind of go to the other end and sort of work my way up from like, okay, was it not as bad as? Given what given what films I've handed out a 1 or a 2 to or a 3 to, and gauge where it falls in those lines, and it's. I would go with a 3. I would give it a 3 out of 10.
Wow. Okay.
You say that as if I'm like, oh my god, Peter's going really high with this one. Like, it's really, really bad. It's terrible even, but it's, I don't know. It's just nothing. Like, when I watch other certain movies, like, they're more insulting than this is, or I watch other movies and they have more annoying elements like constantly from the get go, or whatever. This is just really generic and bad and bland, and there's nothing to talk about. Like, I finished this and went, I've already forgotten what the movie was. Like, what was it about? Who was in it? Because I am never going to remember this in like a month's time.
I watched this last night, and then there's already like details that I'm kind of blurry on. Like, there's some stuff that you brought up and I was like, oh yeah, that's right, I almost forgot about that. But yeah, I mean, that's just from last night. Like, in a week, 2 weeks time, I will barely remember anything about this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a sign that the movie didn't actually have like coherent plot, like twists and points or interesting beats, because you'd remember them because of that. Instead, it just kind of like meanders through a very typical supernatural movie plot.
Yeah. I mean, is it surprising that this is basically just based on like an internet meme? Like, what do you expect?
Yeah, but I think if you hand it to a talented writer, they could turn it into something.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, but no, they didn't do that. They gave it to a crappy writer, then a mediocre director, and this is what we ended up with. And
Yeah.
so Sony might not have actually made it in the first place, but they recognized their own quality and said, "We'll distribute that because it fits in with our brand."
Wait, is that a dig on Sony?
Yeah, Sony don't really have a lot of good movies. As a movie studio, they're pretty rough going.
Okay. I can't really think of much off the top of my head other than Spider-Man. So
that's my point exactly. Their other big claims to fame would be the Men in Black movies, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, technically, they own some older stuff because they basically got Columbia TriStar, so technically they own like Ghostbusters, but that's like not what I'm really talking about. I'm talking about Sony of the last 5-10 years, like the sort of stuff they have made.
I think did they do? Well, for some reason, I'm thinking they did Drag Me to Hell. I could be wrong.
I do not know.
I mean, maybe it might make sense if Sam Raimi did the Spider-Man movies. Maybe they had a part in that, but it could be completely wrong.
I have searched Sony films. They had Goosebumps. They had the Angry Birds movie.
I didn't see it. I'm sure it's fantastic.
They've done the Da Vinci Code movies.
Okay, I guess those were popular at a time.
They did After Earth.
Oh, who can forget that classic?
Oh, they did The Walk. The Walk was pretty good.
The Walk?
Yeah, that was the Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He played the guy who did the tightrope.
Oh, okay. I forgot about that movie. I didn't see it, but...
Yeah, The Bounty Hunter.
Oh, okay.
Charlie's Angels.
Sure.
Oh, John Carpenter's Vampires. That's
okay, that was a movie that happened.
Getting into things, yeah. It's it's not a great track record. I feel like other studios they have a very kind of down the middle sort of gauge of like, they make some bad movies, they make some good movies, whatever. You don't necessarily think of Warner Brothers or Fox and think good or bad. You just think, oh yeah, they've got a lot of good movies, they've got a lot of bad movies. They do a bit of everything. Sony, I feel like 2% are good.
You know what, Sony? Stick to video games.
They're good at video games.
There you go.
PS4 is pretty nifty. There's some good first-party games. I can't fault that. Yeah. Also, they did a Steven Seagal film called Attack Force in 2006.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Good job with that one. All right, I think that's wrapping up this episode of Screams After Midnight.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so just to quote something we said back in the Bye Bye Man review, don't think it, don't say it, don't see it. So you can let us know what you think of Slender Man in the comments below, like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mild_fuzz for channel updates, or more specifically, get us at Screams Midnight for horror movie and Screams After Midnight updates specifically. So you can check out that. If you want to support the channel and the show and everything we do, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv and you can support us for as little as $1. You get some stuff early, you get to vote on monthly things, you get to vote on an episode once per month at the $5 tier. You can check that out, have a look. Otherwise though, that is us, so thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we'll see you next time.